Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in the frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and you lose it?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy. Darling. Light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck up and die.
Dude, how come, like, drugs make you just so paranoid? But, like, I don't know. I feel like I have the paranoia sober, too.
Yeah, I've never done drugs.
Oh, no, I
couldn't tell
haven't
you.
either. Just like Paul McGillicuddy, or whatever his name is, Paul Hatchett, I think is his name. Yeah, Paul Hackett.
Yeah, something
he's
like
a
that.
straight he's a straight sober boy who doesn't smoke anything weird from Colombia.
I know, straight shooter. So it's funny because this movie is not really that big of a drug-related movie, but it does have a weird undercurrent of like a weird drug paranoia. But
Well, dude, can we?
and with
can we
Cheech
just
and
real
Chong
quick-
and everything, like I imagine they were just doing blow in between scenes, like canonically.
Guaranteed.
Like
Yeah,
in real
100%.
life, but I feel like in the plot it makes sense too with their energy.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, the energy that's brought there.
Anyway, this is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. That's Jordan. I'm Levi. We're straight edge.
Oh yeah, I'm Stretch.
He is.
Hardcore.
So you're gonna commit to the microphone then, huh?
I don't know, dude. I'm like, if this will help the production.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm keeping the mic. I'm keeping the mic this close. I know it is because. Let me look real quick.
Can you
I'm
see
sure
your
my
level?
levels. I bet my levels are just like dancing, baby.
He's self-conscious
oh, yeah,
about his.
dude. Oh no, I'm
You're
now I'm
so
blowing
loud
out.
in my
I'm
ears
blowing
now.
out, dude.
Maybe
I shouldn't be this
Split
close.
the difference. Split the difference,
No,
you psychopath.
I feel good right here.
That's fine.
I'm feeling good. If you go to our YouTube, you can
hear it too. Either way,
you can peep it.
He's self-conscious about the way he sounds, but it's coming through. It's coming through loud and clear.
Me?
No, I'm projecting.
I'm more. Oh yeah, right. No, yeah. No, you got a great dude. Even my fiance is like, yeah, Levi's voice is great, and I'm like, what about mine? And she's like, whatever, you got it.
It's good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Your voice is tolerable.
I like your voice. I know some young child at a roller rink the other day. She was like 20 or something, but she's like, you have a good voice. You should do voiceover work or something. I'm like, I have a podcast. You want to check it out? She's like, nah.
Yeah. And then she screamed and ran away.
Pass.
Did she invite you to her friend's Soho loft?
Yeah.
In
So
New York City?
Jordan's trying to get us back on track. This is a film podcast, obviously, and we're doing directors each week this month, and this week we decided to vote on some of the more off-kilter Scorsese films, and we ended up watching his 1985 film After Hours, which is what we will be talking today. But I'm sure you knew that when you clicked on the thing. But just in case, you're just rolling on through them, you know?
They know. They know what they're clicking on.
It's on shuffle. Who knows? I don't know what they're doing.
Oh, that's true. Maybe it is. Yeah. So welcome. If you're just listening to this passively, you've found Cult of Cinema Knowledge, and we're going to talk about Scorsese's After Hours.
Maybe we
I can
found
give you a little-
you.
Oh, dude, hell yeah! That's the marketing I need to get into is where we break into people's homes and put it on their
We should.
Spotify.
We're gonna do all the next round of stickers I make and shit is just gonna be like we're always watching. It's just gonna be like eyes, like to just make people hyper paranoid. Cult of Cinema Knowledge, always watching you.
I know. Yeah, we'll subscribe to you, dude. That's what we're gonna do. But
anyway,
really though, like and subscribe. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks.
I actually. So I'm gonna stumble through my synopsis.
Did
that
you
I wrote
write one?
About 15 minutes ago? So
yeah, as it goes.
we're gonna get we'll
That's all right.
Well, I'll read it real quick. It just kind of gives you like an overview and a little bit of snapshot into the timeline.
Yeah,
But
sure.
This movie's kind of simple, but it's so meandering.
It's
to,
loose.
Like, to write about it.
It's loose.
It's so back and forth. It's so just like, and he goes to this building, then he comes back to the building, then he goes to this building.
Yeah, none of that.
He kind of comes back to it.
None of that
So,
matters too much.
It's really just kind of like
hit the big boy beats.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, sure. We're gonna rip right into it, baby. The ripping of the Terran. Martin Scorsese After Hours follows Paul Hackett, a yuppie suit from uptown, who gets swept away after work for a night in the increasingly stressful Soho district. After a meet-cute with Marcy in a little cafe, he's invited to her friend's loft. Dazed and penniless from the erratic cab ride down, Paul is apprehensive of the night, but decides to let fate and his libido guide him. He gets up to the apartment to meet the roommate, Kiki, a plaster of Paris sculptor and sleepy enigma. Marcy finally shows up, only to act awkward and secretive, saying some weird stuff about her past relationships. They smoke some mystery substance, and Paul dips out without warning. But this is where the night gets totally out of hand, with one unfortunate circumstance after the other. Trying and failing to take the train home with his last 97 cents, Paul is trapped in the few city blocks with a wide array of kooky characters, like the midlife crisis cocktail waitress and the bartender with trust issues, who happens to be Marcy's husband, along with two goofy crooks with a van, a punk club bouncer that tries to shave his head into a mohawk. And then I forgot to write the it was mohawk. He narrowly escapes with his hair back to the rainy streets, where an angry mob is convinced he's the neighborhood thief. He's chased by an irate ice cream truck into the early morning, escaping sure death in a clever disguise wrapped in plaster of Paris, only to be stolen himself as a statue, where cruel fate leads him back uptown to the gates of his work.
Yeah, that's good.
That's essentially the thing.
I feel like you're like hanging on to dear life to your microphone.
Like
it's the only thing keeping you from falling onto the ground from your desk.
No, dude, you guys should look. You need to go to look at this. You need to go down to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Just watch. If you don't watch any other episode ever in the world, just watch this one. Because look at me, dude. I feel so freaking cash right now, dude.
That looks so uncomfortable. It's so top heavy.
Comfortable, dude. No. You'd be surprised, dude. And I've been like jump roping lately, and so I'm just ripped.
Oh yeah, all right.
I got no fear, dude. This grip is great.
I'll leave it alone.
I'm loving it. No, did you see how? Oh my god, have you ever been this cash, dude? Have you ever been this relaxed when you've pod?
I don't know.
I think so.
I look pretty. Have you seen the? Go back and watch the episode where I'm sitting in the giant chair.
That's a good one.
I forget which episode that was, but it was perfect.
You look rigid, dude. Don't even get me
it's
started.
It's because I'm trying to find a good balance. Anyway. So we're talking good synopsis, man. Like for a movie, this movie is pretty loose. And honestly, that wasn't as insane as rambling as a lot of our synopsis.
I know, yeah, true. Well, the thing is, it's like there's so much. There really is, like, it's a really simple, coherent storyline. It's just every interaction is so awkward and unique and like kind of like crazy and like stupid circumstances. And it like he kind of meanders through the city, and it's like there's times where like the whole movie I'm like, just go home. Like, just go home. But he keeps getting himself trapped in certain situations.
Yeah, it's like first it's because they keep escalating the threats to keep him there, because it's like, first it's like, oh, it's a long ways, and then it's just like, well, I'm not going to walk, but if I did walk, but it's raining. And then it's just like, at this point, it's desperate. I can't take the subway. I can't drive home. And at this point, there's mobs on the streets, roaming the streets that are going to kill me. So it's not like I can just start hoofing it. It's pretty great, but it's like, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, just walk.
I know, just walk. Well, no, what's great is it literally in Google Maps, like I didn't Google map it, but it was Google Maps and I looked at it. It's like a 2-hour walk. It's like pretty, he could do it. And he could have done it.
The dead, and I don't know, he makes it seem like not as frightening. Like, it seems like pretty chill, like at night, like New York at night. And I have a feeling, any New Yorkers out there, is New York at night that quiet and dead? Because I really doubt it.
I know, right? I really doubt it. But I do think they like, it is full of life when you go into like certain buildings. Like, there are the people, like, and that's what I loved when he goes to the bar and the bartender's like, well, no, this is usually really busy.
It's usually bumping,
yeah. Yeah, usually everybody's like, this is an awkward night. And there's nothing going on.
That kind of adds to the vibe of this movie, too, because this movie does feel like kind of a weird, dreamy in the atmosphere and dreamy in the logic. Like, that's kind of like what I like about it is it feels like he got to work and it's like, man, was that even happen? That was unreal. Like, it almost has like this, it's such a surreal vibe when he's there that. But without going way overboard, obviously.
He's Dorothy, dude. Did you not did you not pick that up?
Yeah.
Like, of course, like he totally goes off to like the Wizard of Oz. Like, He's
except
just
for
going off.
It's like the wizard of going to get his dick wet. Is this whole thing, you know?
Right,
But,
I know. It really is. He's just like, I'm a young 20-something. I got to go out there.
I know.
But
God,
dude,
that unibrow, can you blame him?
okay, this is your first time seeing this, right? I assume.
No, I've seen this before.
Oh, you have? Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is my first. But
Yeah.
what's your impression? What's your second impression?
I'd seen it the first time back in the golden age when I watched all the movies ever made. And,
Yeah.
I actually remember it quite well though, because I remember really liking it and thinking it was really funny and like being like, whoa, I really like Scorsese. His camera movements really fit this like more.
Oh my god.
This
Dude.
style, like this kind of like lighthearted style, but it just keeps the movie,
actually-
the momentum rolling. I love it.
It's some of his best, dude. I honestly,
It's
I'm like,
really good.
I'm like, I mean, I'm probably having like, recency bias, but this is like one of his like most impressively shot movies.
I think
like
so.
Consistently. It's like, because it's like there's so many. All of his movies are like they're shot beautifully, and there's always like really huge, beautiful scenes. But this one is like the whole time. I'm
It's
like, God,
the
I fucking
whole
love how they're
surrealist, like raining in
Yeah.
the streets of New York. Like there's so many.
It looks
so many. Good
well. And there's
shots
so
to it.
many. There's so many cool like it. It really is like film school edits. Like he's kind of just edit. He's like
and his
he's
edits
not doing
are-
formulaic edits. He's just like kind of bumping around and like.
Yeah, and this
jazz,
is
dude. He's
before
bopping
his
around.
edits were crazy too, where he just did crazy
Yeah.
fucking edits, which he started doing and like later, a little later
Well,
in his career.
and I feel like
his
this
smash
is
cuts.
him.
This is like kind of the start of that, but
Yeah.
it's still like honed in. And it's not obviously it's not the editor, but he's obviously heavily involved in it's his style, and he's had
Right.
the same editor for a long time until she died. But no, the
But
second time watching it, I really enjoyed it. I probably maybe even enjoyed it more, but I found it way less funny.
Okay.
And way
Yeah.
more anxiety inducing.
Yeah. Well, dude, you know what it gave me? It gave me super like the first hour of Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Which, that this isn't spoilers or anything, but it's just like that the same anxiety in it. Like
I was thinking that too, because it's like I mean, we'll just skip to it now because it's like this genre though. In my review on Reddit, I was like, After Hours walked so that these other like surreal nightmare comedies could run, but like I was thinking Beau's Afraid, and then I think the most for me, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Under the Silver Lake, it really reminded me of Under the Silver Lake.
Oh, I really wanted to see that.
And, and like Inherent Vice too, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just that kind of like
it's
like
got that vibe, you know what I mean? But it's like this movie
the
is much
dreaminess
more
of
of a
it.
restrained version of those movies. Like, obviously, Beau's Afraid is just much more maximalist and surrealist than this. But this is like just enough that you're just like, what is happening? I don't know. I love it. I love absurd surreal comedies, man. I do.
No, and I love that it's like this feels so true to Scorsese. Like if you ever listen to him talk about film and like the passion that he has about like where Hollywood is, and I started listening to the commentary for this. It's great. You can find the commentary on YouTube and everything for this movie, and he really gets deep into like where he was in this period of his life, because this is 85. He's already an established director. Like Scorsese has been around. I mean, he's been around since the 60s, really prominently in the 70s. He was kicking out some like really influential films. And so he's already in this like established position, and for him to kind of go back to a movie that feels, because the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, wow, it looks beautiful. The film he's just like, the color on it is beautiful, and like it's just shot so well. I kept being like so blown away that I'm like, God, it's such good, rich film.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was like a 79 or something, or say, which isn't too much earlier, but it's still like it felt kind of like a in his 70s period.
Yeah, kind of.
Like,
right.
Oh damn, okay. It's like 85, and he's like definitely. And I love it's kind of like it's got 85
like
times. It's got like the punks and everything.
Yeah, it's good. I love that.
Dude,
man.
the punks are so fucking cool. That's such a.
I
good
was
scene.
actually like something I didn't really notice it for some reason as much the first time I watched it, but I liked how like unapologetically like queer and punk this movie was. Like there was just like it's so new. Like I don't know. I fucking live in Utah, but it's to me. I'm like, it's so New York, you know. Like, but if anyone's gonna tell me about New York, it's gonna be fucking Scorsese.
It's Martin Scorsese,
Yeah,
dude.
like,
When
tell
you're
me.
talking about that's kind of what I was getting at. Is
like New York in the '80s. Like I want
right. When you hear Scorsese talk about it, it's like Scorsese grew up in like I don't even know when he was born. He's probably born in like the 30s or something crazy. He's like
no,
he's old.
The
He's old as fuck.
1830s.
No, yeah, right. He's like he always talks about like New York, like he came across on like he's like in Ellis Island, like getting his papers and like coming in and like. But he does talk about, because he is like, you know, he's immigrant family, and like talks about how rich and like how full of life New York is, and like he just he's so passionate about it, and he like totally. I personally, the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, oh man, this is like, is he kind of making fun of Soho? But then I was like, no, I think the reason that I know, at least I don't know confirmed from his mouth, but the reason I feel in my heart that he wasn't making fun of it, he was like appreciating it, and he was kind of like, you know, putting it up on a pedestal, is because he's in the punk.
Dude, I know. I was about to say, is it the shot with him with the light?
With the light, yeah. So he's working in.
I saw that and I was like,
in the bar.
Oh my god, is that Scorsese?
Because I saw it, I was like, oh, his beard, dude, is.
I always forget how he looks when he was younger, though, because it's like he's been old for so long, like our whole lives.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so it's just like I always forget. Like occasionally I'll see like Scorsese from like the 70s or 80s, and I'm like, oh, he's got like a brown full beard and everything.
He looks like Eugene Levy, dude.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of look the same.
I know.
I love it. But
that scene is fantastic, and it's hilarious.
Dude,
but seeing him was like the cherry on top.
Right, and that's where I'm like, oh, he put himself in there, like
No, it's him getting kind of. He was feeling it. I feel like he was feeling it. Like
he's so proud of New York, and he loves. Yeah, Well,
the direction in this movie, like his like frantic style. He's done a couple more movies now, like later after this, but I feel like it's like so many of his things. They have like this humor to them. But this movie, I felt like he could really kind of like take, pop the collar, roll the sleeves up, and just kind of loosen the tie and let it go crazy. And it's. His directing style and his camera movements like so work for like this the momentum of this film. Like the momentum is just going the whole time, and I love it.
Well, I can give you a little film history on that. Is he was in like 1980, 81, 82, he was working on oh my God, his Passion of the Christ. What is that called? Last Temptation.
Oh, yeah, Last Temptation.
He was working on that, and it was like in production, and it was casted, and everyone was there, and they shot some footage, and they were like they had everything going on that, and then the studio saw it, and the studios cut it out, and they said no, it's too extreme for us. We don't want to do this. And so he was kind of like, he felt deflated. He felt like, oh man, Hollywood's changed. I'm not allowed to make what I want. And so he like, this is like completely like independent. And I think that like he got to make Last Temptation a couple years later.
Right.
But I think that's what fully like kind of alienated him. And I think he stepped away from Hollywood a lot. And so he's definitely not like, I feel like he could have been more. He needed like
a little brain scrub, and I think this movie kind of was like a less pressure or like less.
Totally, yeah.
Like you're not literally telling the story of fucking Jesus, it's just some guy lost in Soho.
Right.
It's good, but like, I don't know, like Scorsese's kind of always been kind of an outlier, even though he is so. I mean, definitely. Since like he's always made such popular movies, but like he's got a very kind of all over the place. Like he has a very distinct style, but like his movies are super varied. He kind of does especially now. Like he just does whatever he wants.
And that's what
it's kind of great. Cool, and like back then, it was still like he was an established figure, but it's like he started on the scene as more of like making the really brash, gritty, independent type films of the 70s is what really kind of put him on the map, with like Mean Streets and all that. And then like into Taxi Driver and stuff.
Yeah, right.
That like really kind of are like, oh, this is outside your traditional, what would be shown in like more traditional cinema. And then that made him popular. And then he kind of, it sounds like he stepped back from that even after the defeat. There's him trying to make that. Makes a lot of sense. Just going forward, because then he came and did like the 90s was probably arguably his biggest time with like Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is definitely the movie that like put him on the map,
and like the legendary status. Oh yeah, man.
Right. Yeah.
Us and like our parents and stuff too. It's just
like... And I think that's just like, because that honestly he didn't really have like quote unquote commercial success or anything like financial success on pretty much any of his movies up until Goodfellas.
Yeah.
It
No,
really,
that was the big
I was
one,
looking
and
back at
then that remains the big one. You know what I mean? Like, go listen to our Goodfellas episode. We did a Goodfellas episode, and that remains like his big one. But I'm glad we chose to do something a little bit more like his low key movies that aren't talked about as much, because I do feel like this movie has kind of a cult following, but it's like
is
it's
definitely
pretty
a
brushed
gem.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, I like. It's funny because I only gave it I think 3 stars or 3.5 on Letterboxd, because it's like it's just like it's a fine movie, but I'm like it's one you should see. Like
Yeah.
I definitely I fully recommend this.
I
movie
give it 4 because it's
it's
like it doesn't change my life or anything, but like
Right, but it's such a good time.
enjoyable. It's like it's lean, like it's only like 93 minutes, which is nice compared to like
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon's like 4 hours, which I'm fucking there for. But
Right. Well, don't get it twisted. Scorsese's original edit was like for this movie was like an hour longer.
yeah, that tracks.
So he like don't worry, that guy he packs
Jordan,
he packs a movie full.
he was over there like creating fake Reddit accounts so that we could all watch Silence. He just wants to watch 3.5 hours of Andrew Garfield suffering.
Yeah, suffering and pausing.
in silence, just fasting and finding God.
Dude, but that's the thing. Silence
Silence is another one though.
Cool.
That's
Scorsese can grapple the I feel like it's got like a 1970s sensibility in this movie.
It does.
And it feels
Well, it's like it's 70s, but it's
so-
like not in.
so
It
absurd.
feels like the decay, because it does feel like post 70s, but it feels like there's been no progress since the 70s, other than the fact that Paul is like a yuppie and there's punk music.
And that's kind of right, exactly. I was gonna say those are like the 2 big things where I'm like, because when he went to Berlin, I was kind of like, oh, this isn't the 70s scene. And so I'm just
this is like that. Even past like the early 80s scene, like where it was.
Right.
Again,
Yeah,
it
the
feels like
hardcore,
this has got a sense of like this decay, this rundown. And obviously, it's probably maybe part of this town. I don't know. I'm not from New York.
I know. I don't know Soho at all. Victoria and I were both like, is this like this? Is this the city? Is this how the city is?
Maybe in 1985. I don't know.
I don't know. we were like, is this how people are? We have no idea.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what any of these streets mean. They're talking about streets on the phone. I'm like, I don't know where that is. I don't know.
That's a throwing a bone to the locals. Be like,
Yeah,
I know that. I know what they're talking about.
Right. Everyone loves to hear their own city, but
I like that it's just a series of unfortunate events. Like it just snowballs and cascades. Like it's literally just such a like that's what's kind of delightful about this movie. It's like there's not like a crazy conspiracy or a plot.
No.
It's just like all these weird events. However,
And I like how nobody. I like how nobody's. Oh, what are you gonna say? I was gonna say nobody's really an antagonist. No one's really a protagonist.
Yeah,
Everyone's
it's
kinda
like misunderstandings, like comedic misunderstandings, and like he keeps making terrible choice, like a choice that just like is the wrong, always misunderstood and misinterpreted.
Well, and I think it's like the good-natured optimism of like people will let you into their home to help you, but then people are kind of weird and you don't know what's gonna happen, and so and it's just like he's never in like a super serious situation. I mean, outside of like the mob, the misunderstanding of the mob trying to kill him, but then that just like becomes so farcical that like
I know, and that's even his own project. Who knows what
great.
they would have done? It's the ice cream machine,
right?
But
true.
maybe
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, they could have hurt him, but I mean, who knows? I don't feel like those characters were like murderers. I don't feel like they would kill him.
No, they're just there to just
anyways.
be an angry mob because it's funny.
Because
it is.
Yeah,
it's absurd that it's like this guy.
I gotta reel back real quick. When we're talking funny, so you said the second watch it's not this funny. I can 100% see that.
I think it's still funny, but this time I was more like anxious about like, because I'm old. I feel like it's because I'm older now. I can more sympathize where I'm just like, oh, poor guy. Like he just wants to go home. Like I'm like, if it was me, I'd be like, nah, 11:30. That's too late. Like,
yeah, I would have never got it. No, literally, that's where we're old, and not even old. Just like that's where we're like, what is this? We're like 30 years from this movie, and it's like, no, you don't. People even that age don't go out like that. Like no one goes out at 11.
I know that's why he's even like the hint in his eye. It's like a little hesitant, but he's like, oh, I met a girl. There's a spark. Like, she's cute and like maybe like kind of cool.
Right.
Like maybe I don't know. Like that's what always keeps him likable though. Is just because it's like he's not like 100% of a sleazeball. Like he kind of is. But like
Yeah.
there's a part of him that's just like more like, oh, I'm just looking, like he's not like I'm looking to fuck. He's like, oh, I'm looking for like
Right.
like maybe,
I
but
mean-
like I'm looking for like a connection. Like he is, but
Yeah. No, he is, but it's like it's
That's not
portrayed
like-
as like
all
as just kind of everybody. I don't know. I guess
it's the adventure. It's like he feels the excitement of like, oh,
super-
that first initial meeting in the coffee shop. Like that was a fun charged moment. Let's keep it going, you know. A little to his detriment, that charged moment is a fucking nuclear bomb that just sends his night spiraling, where he ends exactly back where he started, which is great.
I love, dude. Oh
the
my god,
the
that
ending's so good.
had me cracking up, dude. And
That's
then it's
the best.
beautiful. The like the dolly shots throughout or like the Steadicam throughout the office at the end
During
And,
the
like,
credits.
all the Steadicam in this is like amazing. I'm like the Steadicam had to have just come out for this movie because it's like
looked great.
they're using it all the time and it is perfect. It looks so good. And dude, I love when he like gets on his knees and he's like, I'm just a word processor. I just want to get home.
I know.
It's like it's so funny and witty, but it's not like in your face and
What
not-
what was
it's
your
not, like,
what was the
pretentious.
what was the funniest part for you? What part got you the best?
well, that was what I was gonna say. Is like there are a lot of great like
There's a lot of
chuckle
good.
moments.
I like the absurdness though, like
but
the flourish
first
of the
time-
guy at the restaurant that hands him a pen. He's like does a spin and gives it to
Oh,
like he's just
yeah,
acting
well,
really weird.
and that's kind of like that's more like eccentric and kooky to
There's
me.
just a lot of
Less-
that kind of stuff, though.
less like a full bit.
Yeah.
But the one that got me where the first time I was like, oh, this movie is comedy. It's established as just being a comedy. Is when he takes the taxi drive and it's like, oh, that's funny. It's all sped up footage and stuff. But when he's like, he loses the money and you're like, kind of like, oh, there's the setup. This is going to be funny. You know, this is going to be a good punchline. But then there's not necessarily a punchline as much as just a reaction. The cab driver, like mean mugging him.
That's psychotic, dude.
Staring, dude, and that is so
Psychotic.
holy shit, dude. It like and it lingers, dude. Editing,
I know,
editing
it is.
flawless. On
And then
that
he just
bit.
drives
He just
off.
like, yeah, he just drives. It's like, but him just like giving that like stink eye, and it lingers on him for just enough where I literally was like, oh my god, this is funny.
And, and the
laughed
payoff
out.
is so good because he finally gets $20 later.
Yes.
And is like, here, I got my money. And he's like, yeah, I'll be right back. How do you like it?
all the circumstances for him to stay in that like 4-block radius are perfect. Even though half of them you're like, well, this is so sitcom. It's so like ridiculous that like just go home. But it's also like I get it. It's like he doesn't have his keys, so it's like,
I
oh
know.
shit, that's a liability. He needs his keys. He gets the 20, and it's like, oh, finally he can take a taxi home, and then they run away. You know, the taxi runs away, and it's like all these like situations like
Yeah.
they add up to where it's like
The
he stays there, and it's
fee
great.
just got raised tonight to $1.50.
I
on
know,
the
dude.
train.
Oh, yeah, at midnight, dude. I love that. No, do you know what I love? This is something that kind of ties in with the anxiety and stuff, but it just like it. I didn't really know exactly what it was going to be. Like with the first time the cabbie does that, I was like, oh shit, this is funny as hell. But then when he's in the apartment, there are times where I'm like, what is going on? Like, and her leg, she had like the burns or she had the marks on her leg. And he was looking through that like disfigured book, you know.
Yeah,
where it's,
and
like,
he has a
burn victims.
weird. He was telling her while he's rubbing her about how he was like spent some time in a burn ward as a kid and it like freaked him out.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
it like
and so
never
it's like-
comes up again. I don't know.
but
It's such a
nothing-
weird
yeah.
thing.
That is, there's
It's
so many
interesting
like
though. But I'm just like,
of these like, yeah, it's like all these plot points that get left, and you're like, I'm kind of like, oh shit, is that gonna come back or is this gonna be a horror? Like I didn't know where it was gonna go.
yeah.
Like that was kind of fun. I was
That's the
yeah.
thing with this movie I've been personally struggling with is I mean I don't think it's a problem necessarily, but I'm just like so many movies like I've had people tell me as like a quote unquote film snob that like, oh, you're overthinking it, and I'm just like, psh, bitch, you're just underthinking it. Like this movie
Yeah.
is like meant to have thought.
You should think about every movie.
You should, yeah. But this one, it's like I feel like I'm like trying to read and like, what is the meaning of this? And I can't come up with anything, and it's like hurting my brain kind of because I'm like, am I overthinking it? Because it's like there's so many weird like tie around connections that I'm like, is there a deeper symbolism like about the paper mache man, and then he becomes the paper mache man, and then like how every interaction is like with a woman, like what does that say about him? And like,
Right.
it's just
Well, and I think like
so
I think
many
there's
weird
like,
small
little
things like that, and then like
Yeah.
the one girl, she later has the bagel, and she's trying to give him the bagel plaster as like a gift. like,
I think what a lot of it is like I think it's Scorsese just showing the like interwoven fabric of this one city block,
Yeah.
or what,
Yeah.
like this, like it's like literally just like these apartment complexes, and it's how New York is like a microcosm of like
Yeah.
a
No, that makes
society
sense.
that, like,
And it really
exists
does
and, like,
add the coincidental nature of all these things and how everything seems to be like tangentially connected is like adds to the surreal vibe of like, the dreamlike nature of where it's like everything has like this other connection and everything like points to everything else, even though it doesn't really necessarily have like from a filmmaking perspective, like a metaphorical like meaning necessarily, but it really adds to the flow of the film. But you want to know the funniest part is for me that slayed me this time around for some reason that I didn't remember at all is when he sees the robbers, Cheech and Chong, loading all the stuff in their van.
yeah, it's so, dude, I love Cheech and Chong. It's so funny.
It's funny that it's them too, because it's like a weird subversion, and they never bring it up.
Right. No, and that's what's great. Yeah, they play different characters. They're not
Yeah.
playing Cheech and Chong, which is great. Yeah.
And
they are.
But he's like, hey, that you're still in that, and they run away, and they break the statue, and or the TV, and then he takes the statue in, and he sees what's her name, Kit Kat or whatever.
Yeah, Kiki.
Kiki. He sees she's all got her like mouth all bound, and he goes goes upstairs and it was like, oh my god, how would they rob you? They're like she's like, what robbers? What? Like, and she's just all like tied up all kinky,
and she's tied up like, and the dude, the dominatrix comes out or whatever.
He's like, I'm very disappointed in you, Paul.
Yeah, right. And he's like, lack of discipline.
Yeah,
he's like, probably.
Maybe. Oh, that got me where she's just like, what robbers? I'm like, oh man.
Oh, yeah, dude. I love it. And she's like, I sold my TV for $300.
I know. they're a couple stand-up guys.
When I love it. I love how they're really into art. They're like, yeah, this statue's like, it's one of those like famous, artwork pieces or whatever.
I know. And even at the end, it's like some of the last lines of the movie. It's like, art is forever, man. Like,
Yeah. Right. And that's like, that's where I'm like, I appreciate this movie because it's like, it doesn't need to have larger, deeper themes, but
no, that's what makes it fun,
But it's so, dude, and it's great because it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not full comedy. That's where it sits apart.
Yeah, that's why it's like
different.
There's something about that anxiousness for me.
Yeah,
that it's like it really does fit into these like nightmare comedy is how I would describe it. You know what I mean? Because it's like not only is it like nightmare, like a surreal dream type logic, but it's just like there's always this edge of panic and anxiety and like just bad things happening to the main character, and it's like there's comedy woven into the writing and the acting and the editing and everything to make it funny, and a lot of it is we're laughing at the expense of the character, but it's still like this huge undercurrent, and this is like what these kind of movies do, like Beau is Afraid and stuff, that like there's a lot of funny moments, but every time you laugh, it's like a release valve of like this weird tension just kind of bubbling in your gut. Just enough. Like this movie does it really lightly, not like Beau is Afraid, where that one's just like a fucking gut stab. But
right.
But this movie, literally. But this movie, it's just like just low frequency enough, like all that like weird anxiety that it's just like it makes it really enjoyable without it being like a Safdie's brother movie or something.
It's like, exactly. Or I was even or thinking like Safdie Brothers is like a good.
That's kind of I was thinking of like Uncut Gems or something, but it's just like that movie's just like the anxiety and the panic's just turned up to 11.
Yeah.
And it's still funny. Like those movies still have their moments like that and good time, but it's mostly just like, oh God, that's emphasis on nightmare.
Yeah. Basically just.
I love it. I mean, I love it too.
The Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like it kind of like Seinfeld. I feel like is a good comparison because it's like just
that.
normal people getting into like these really stupid like ridiculous.
No, you can definitely see certain scenes of this movie, like Kramer getting into, or something, or like Costanza losing his keys. Like
one of my favorite bits. Like that's what's great is this has so many like great bits. It's like. When he sees the neighbor get killed, when the woman murders the neighbor, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get blamed for that.
That was the other one that slayed me, dude, because it's so small too. He just watches him shoot the guy to death, and it's pretty violent and horrific. And it's like, and then he's just like, I'm gonna get blamed for that, and just like runs away.
Yeah, dude. That's great. It's like this. I definitely feel like Scorsese came to this like because he got the script and he worked on it with them, and like it came to him, and I'm sure he helped shape it a little bit and give it its like pacing, but it's just it's so unique to have a movie like this that kind of just meanders through, but like it just puts you in such an awkward situation that like you don't want to look away. I want to know what happens next. And something that I loved, this is totally a tangent, but the main dude is American Werewolf in London. He fucking
is it?
Yeah. So
What
like
the
the
hell?
whole, I thought they were gonna make a meta joke and like have I was like, is there gonna be a werewolf in this movie? Like it felt like, because I thought her scratches on her thigh were gonna be like,
I knew he
I
looked
thought-
familiar, but he seems so
Right.
scrawny in this.
he seems, yeah, and he's like, and his unibrow too. You mentioned that. It's his unibrow was beautiful, but he fucking, yeah, dude. He
What
like,
the hell?
I know, isn't that wild? And so like,
How is it that he seems? I mean, I guess he doesn't seem older, but he seems like such a thicker, like football playing boy in American Werewolf in London, and
Right.
in this he just seems like a skinny, swarmy businessman. Word processor, sorry.
yeah,
That's
word
funny.
processor. But yeah, dude, is that so? The whole time I thought like they were gonna do a meta joke, and I think they kind of did, because they said, someone said it's a full moon, and I remember that
Yeah.
line sticking out to me, because when he said it's a full moon, that's when I said to Victoria, I was like, is this gonna be a werewolf movie? Because I thought she had like scratches on her thigh from like getting attacked by a werewolf, and I was like, oh, I'm like, and it's fucking midnight, or whatever. It's like 11 midnight.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it to be like 3 a.m. and werewolves to come
all
out.
all the crazies come out because I
love
guess
that, yeah.
the full moon could explain everyone's weird behavior. Everyone gets a little loony, That's
And I
funny.
think it's just, yeah, it's like the people that are like, especially that, I love the woman that's working, that's like, she's stuck in like the 60s. Oh, dude, that bit got me. It's just everybody's reaction and acting. And what's so cool is Scorsese let everybody do their own, like, he basically called it self-directing. So like he would be there and he would work with them, and so they could help create their character and their scene, and whatever felt good, he was like, just do that. Like, just, don't get too caught up in like the character, just do a funny bit. And that when she's like, do you like the monkeys? And she starts doing those 60s dance, dude.
I like that.
That's such a good, it's like, yeah.
I like that she just starts sketching him for no, and he's like obviously uncomfortable by it, but then it becomes the wanted poster.
It's and so that's why
She's
they're like,
hanging
and
it up.
all the chain reactions work too, because she's like, oh, I have a second job. I work at the Xerox copy place. So you want
And
free
then she's got, like,
copies?
a million
And then
copies
she's got
of
a
it.
million copies hanging up everywhere around there. And I love how he goes through so many people and they become like vindictive of him. Like they give him, they like extend like their graces, and then he comes into their lives, and then like he just not even wrongs them necessarily, but just like he's impolite, I guess.
The
I don't
biggest
even
turn of the movie is that, like, he blames himself, like, whether or not it's his fault. It's like, who's to say exactly? But like when his date, like, that's like the worst. It's so darkly funny because that's like the worst case scenario. Like, I'm gonna go out and see this chick tonight, and then it's like he says one mean thing to her, and she fucking kills herself. And
right.
And then he like just like leaves her corpse there.
Dude, when he puts up signs that says dead
person,
body or whatever, dead person, dude, like, what the hell is going on? It's so good. It's like it's busting up. And it's like, it's wild because even the scene, the rape scene, she's like, oh yeah, he came in through the windows fire escape and he raped me for hours.
You're
and
laughing.
I just fell asleep.
You're
Like,
laughing.
what?
Yeah,
This
she's
is
like, I
so
was asleep most of the
uncomfortable.
time. I know, because you're laughing at Paul, how uncomfortable Paul is. That's what I'm saying. You're laughing at his expense, even though it's super anxiety inducing. But it's like, it is played for comedy. Like, and it's
right.
And it's like that scene. Like, there's nothing that's funny about that except for how uncomfortable he is. It's great, and the fact that she slept through it. But,
yeah, right. The whole interaction where you're like, you kind of like can't get a grasp on who she is too, because she like, and that's what I love too. That's where like good filmmaking comes in. Is like she's so aloof and she like keeps leaving the room and like coming in and like it's making us anxious because like we don't know what's going on in the other room, and there's just awkward noises, and he's in a new place, and it's like he's vulnerable. It's great. Yeah, I love.
Yeah, it's pretty
this
fun.
really is. This really is like a gem. It's like I'm surprised it's not talked about more. I mean, I feel like it's just so wild to have like such a prominent director, like, like one of the most recognizable directors in Hollywood or in the world.
It's an interesting one for him for sure,
It and it's one that like no one ever really talks about it, which I'm new to it as well. I'm coming into it for the first time, and I really appreciate it now. And so, I think people should see it. Do you have any Reddits? Or...
Yeah, I got a couple. I think it's mostly just saying, this is a gym too, kind of. So let's see what they got though. So, Welsh says, I wish Scorsese made more absurd comedies like this. Very morbid, but also laugh out loud funny. Great.
Yeah.
That's just like
morbid's a good word. Yeah.
That's kind of what makes this stand out more, though, too, is that it's just like it's so unlike the closest thing is King of Comedy, but it's like even that's got like such a different vibe than this. It's just like it's interesting because he's known for being like, he makes like mafia movies and stuff like that. He's got like several of those.
Well, they always have to have kind of like a masculine kind of crime twinge to.
Yeah, like there's like The Departed, Goodfellas, Casino, Irishman. Like there's so many.
Even like Shutter Island and even like Aviator. It's
even
like
Wolf of Wall Street, which is like is like a fun, bombastic comedy.
Like,
it kind of devolves into like this, more like crime drama type thing as well.
Right.
But there's nothing like this movie that he's ever made, and I think that's kind of what makes it stand out even more. So Clones Are People 2 says, Scorsese is probably my favorite director. I loved all his films that I have seen, but I had not seen this one. After watching it, it keeps the streak of loving all his films. This was so weird, but unmistakably Scorsese. The music, the camera movements, the close-ups, the cameo from his mother, she's in the background when Paul and Marcy meet, are so familiar.
She's in every movie.
So funny, I know.
I love it.
I love the humor and the sense of irony and dream logic that followed Paul in his nighttime odyssey. All the characters were memorable in their own quirky way. As the film progressed, I had a feeling that it might get a tragic ending where Paul gets caught by the mob and has a fate similar to a Joe Pesci character, but I am very happy that the ending kept the tone of this surrealist comedy. The film reminds me that no matter how much film I watch, there will also be new ones to discover, and some of them have been right under my nose. Good comment, thanks.
Hell yeah, dude. And thank you for commenting. And the music, dude. Okay, so
I love
if you
the
go to
fucking
Spotify,
music in this. It's great.
You can find it on YouTube also or Spotify. But and that Bad Brain song's so good. And then, dude, but they've got there are like what four original songs that were written for this movie, which is pretty rare.
Pretty rare at this point. Yeah, he's a soundtrack needle drop kind of guy.
Right, totally, 100%. But the 4 original scores in this are beautiful. They're so good,
really
and they're so like so
kind of mysterious. Oh yeah, with the time period.
Because it's like one's 9 p.m., one's midnight, then the other one's 3 a.m. and then 6 a.m.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's good.
Yeah, they're great.
It's like a kind of a mysterious sounding keyboard, and it's like kind of jaunty and playful, but also like the neon. It really captures kind of like the neon in the rain-soaked, decrepit part of town kind of vibe, where it's just like there's like just enough sense of danger, and the music even conveys that, like just enough. I don't know.
It's exhilarating to be.
And I'm pretty sure the guy I was going through all of the rest of his movies trying to find, I forget his name, but the composer, he did the score for like most of David Lynch's movies and like the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, okay, sick.
And the Lord of the Rings movies, which are like super iconic scores too, you know. So it's just like
his name's Howard Shore.
Yes.
And he's
very
done some
sounding name.
I know, really. Yeah, he's definitely.
But yeah, I noticed he did like all of Lynch's movies too, and I was like, oh, nice, because they got that. Obviously, Lynch is the surreal maestro, and Cronenberg,
too, right?
And Cronenberg. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, he did quite a few Cronenberg too. So it's interesting, and it's just like this. However, I think he maybe did a couple Scorsese movies, maybe, but like you said, Scorsese doesn't really do scores, so interesting. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, this is definitely like it's wild because it is like, casted well and acted well, and it's got great behind the scenes, and he shot it really fast, and it was great. And the Money Minute, real quick before we get to Travis. Travis, it's so wild how Scorsese like does this. He like he doesn't make crazy financially successful movies. And I think that's why he doesn't get, because I always think that, like, how can Scorsese, someone who's like, you know, in all the, like, in every list ever made, a Scorsese film is made.
I mean, a lot of people.
Like,
he's
100
considered
movies.
like maybe one of the greatest directors alive.
Of all time, alive, yeah,
and of all time, like certainly of
historically.
the historically, like he's made some of the most influential movies of the 20th century and beyond. Like he's still doing it.
But I feel like he talks about interviews and he doesn't make movies very often. It's like the fact that he like has to struggle to get financing for his pictures. It's so odd to me, because it's like,
yeah, what was it? His last movie was what? The Irishman, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Irishman was good, but yeah, nobody. I feel like everyone kind of talks shit on that one.
And I think that's right. And I think Netflix helped with that a lot. So it's like,
yeah, but I doubt it made its money. I doubt it made it. So how much did this cost?
this is crazy, dude. This movie cost around $8 million.
Okay.
And it only grossed $2 million.
Oh, really? This does have like cult film written all over it, though. Like, you know, more of like a cult following. But that's too bad. I don't know. I feel like this. I guarantee you, there's like two guys that saw this in 1985 and were just like, "Oh my god," you know? Like it blew their mind. But then like nobody else just bothered.
It really is like smarter than just kind of the crass. Like I could see watching this and being like, "Oh, this is like just blatantly crass and really."
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. Really it's the something that really only cinema can do, which is so great, is because it's like the biggest takeaway from this movie. It's like it's not any, like, the characters are good and everything's fun, but it's the feeling. It's the music combined with the cinematography and like these weird surreal situations that put you in this kind of dreamlike space that like I feel like only movies is capable of, man. It's just the combination of all of it, you know. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, I got Travis's then. I'm glad. Let me pull that out. All right, you ready for it?
Let's hear from him.
Hey guys, I went into After Hours blind, and as the movie was building up, I had the feeling it was a horror movie. What I mean is, Paul goes to Marcy's place, which is a little strange, and as he's getting to know someone he just met hours before, red flags appear. Then as he's smoking a joint, he says, "This isn't Colombian. I don't even think this is pot." Then he finds a ruse to get out of her place. The movie could have taken many directions at that point. So my question is, did you guys get a horror flick vibe from this movie? And I'd also like to point out my favorite scene is when Paul is trying to enter the subway without enough change, and the subway ticket guy won't let him because he might lose his job. Paul asks, "Well, who would know exactly?" And he responds, "I could go to a party, get drunk, talk to someone, who knows." I find that interaction really funny. Thanks, guys.
I forgot about that scene. That scene cracked me up. He makes it sound like he committed a murder. He's like, "I could let it slip one day." It's like 50 cents.
It's 50 cents, yeah. He's like, "I could let it slip at a party."
I know. He's like, "I could get drunk. Who knows?"
I love that. I love that is a good bit.
I forgot about that.
And dude, we did mention it. It kind of has horror vibes, but it's so much like subversion. Like that when he smokes the weed and then he talks about how like, "Whoa, this isn't real weed. You're like fucking with me." Like I really thought like in any other movie, it's like it would have made him like go to a drug trip, like have like a drug scene,
like a bad drug trip.
Like
you know
a bad
what I mean?
trip. Like it's something really intense. But then it's like it's just nothing. It's just shitty weed. That's pretty much
it's like can it be? It's like oregano, you know?
Yeah, right.
Or exactly. It is, or you could be like that explains some of the weird stuff. You know what I mean? Like who knows?
Right.
Like,
but but it's just like that's that could be a little bit. That's like some of like the rabbit hole, I guess you could say. But I really do feel like this is just like it's just a modern retelling of like Wizard of Oz. I mean, the fact that they talk about it and then just like. I'm sure if you go in and there's parallels to characters and stuff and like, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. See if there's any like who's the Tin Man, if there's any of that, you know.
Right. There's gotta be.
I'd watch it one day again. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's definitely it lives in my mind. I like that style. I want to go kind of down that route and watch some of those movies. Like I want to watch Inherent Vice and Under the Silver Lake again.
I want to see Under the Silver Lake now because if it's got that same,
I think it's the closest out of all of them that seems. That's my if you like this, watch this. Under the Silver Lake was super underrated. I'm sad that it kind of just tanked that dude. I don't know if it tanked his career, but he's not doing anything now. But he was I forget his name, but it's the guy who directed It Follows. And
that's right.
Then it was like Under the Silver Lake was supposed to be his next big movie, and there was anticipation, and then it released all shitty and had a weird release, if I remember right.
It's an A24, right?
Yeah, and I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. So anyway, you should check that out. But maybe down the road here we'll do a surreal comedy month or something.
Right. Well, I mean, if yours is Under the Silver Lake, mine was going to be Beau is Afraid.
Yeah, Beau's Afraid is good. Inherent Vice, I think, captures kind of the aimlessness, but with more of the weird drug vibe, and this weird surreal stuff. There's
and it's kind of funny, but not a comedy.
Yeah,
With this, I feel like is more comedy.
Yeah,
but still, yeah.
I don't know. I got some laugh out loud moments in Inherent Vice, but it captures kind of the same floaty, slightly paranoid feel, but is also pretty lighthearted about it. So. Again, not like a Safdie's brother, which is that, but not lighthearted. Anyway, let's wrap it up. That's fine. We're almost to the hour mark. Fuck it. That's the thing. It's a straightforward movie, and it's really a lot of fun, But there's what it's gonna say. Check it out if you haven't fucking watched it, and if you have, glad you liked it. Unless you hated it, then get the fuck out of here.
Well,
just kidding. Thanks.
Come tell us subreddit and let us know why.
I still get the notification. You don't have to comment the day I put it up. So that's the film club aspect. I've been getting more people that are will comment after the fact, and that's how you do it. Watch the movie and then come back and comment.
Dude, I have one more thing. This is if anybody out in podcast land made it this far, we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you for sticking it out and listening to us and being part of what we do. Do you think this is I'm posing the question for everybody out in the world. Do you think that when he goes to the restroom and there's graffiti of a dude with a long erection and there's a shark biting it?
Oh yeah, I forgot to say.
Do you think that's a dig to Jaws? Do you think he's making fun of Jaws? That's my question I posed to you because that's what I thought of when I saw it.
Really? What my first thought was, and I was going to ask you is, I should get a tattoo of that.
Oh, I know, 100%.
I would totally get just a little one of that somewhere.
That's going to be the tier that I put on the Patreon.
Oh yeah, the tattoo one.
Pay for this tier. We'll get this tattoo. No, I'm getting that. I'm getting that tat as well, and it's so funny.
Oh, dude, I'll 100% get that somewhere.
But I really when I saw it, I was like, it has to be because this movie is before meta had a full term and was really integrated into how films are made, and before things used to take place in the same universe, and that's kind of what Quentin Tarantino invented, or at least popularized and influenced a lot of people to become fully meta, where they make a Deadpool or something where it's he just blatantly talks about other movies that he's been in,
right.
And it's satirical and it's at a deeper level. I feel like this movie has a lot of that, where it's a lot of the comments that they make and behind the scenes and stuff, it's they're commenting about creators that they've been involved with and other artists.
I could see that with the Jaws thing, yeah, for sure too.
Yeah, that's my question out there. Let me know. Come in, comment. Let us know if that's what you think it is, or give us your opinion. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks. So we're still keeping the ball rolling on directors. We voted, and voting ended earlier today. What Christopher Nolan movie to watch, and we landed on The Prestige, which...
Oh, really? The Prestige won?
Prestige won.
Oh, it did? Okay,
it was pretty close between that and Interstellar. It was neck and neck kind of the whole time.
I thought it was going to be Interstellar because that was the last time I looked.
Interstellar was winning for a while, yeah. It was pretty... Yeah. Prestige only won by 3 or 4 votes. And,
oh my God, okay, good, because I was like, I swear it was going to be Interstellar.
It was close.
Well, it's good. I haven't seen The Prestige in
It's been a hot minute, and I really enjoyed The Prestige, so I'm excited to watch it again. I like all of his movies. I'm actually kind of surprised that The Dark Knight didn't do better, because I thought that one might win, because I was surprised that Interstellar did so, almost won, just because, I I mean, it's great.
I
it's great.
I really wanted to watch Interstellar.
I watched Interstellar like 2 months ago, so I'm fine with it. But
oh, okay. I haven't watched that one either for years.
you should watch. Go. It's great. I like it better every time I watch it. Every time I watch it, I like it more.
I've seen it twice, and so it's like
But yeah, man, I forgot. I almost put Memento on there, but then I forgot we did Memento.
Oh no, it's all coming back.
Back in the day, I know.
We did do that. Was like our first.
That was pretty early on. I had
in the like first 40 at least.
Oh, easily. Yeah, it was probably like first 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, so The Prestige.
Alrighty.
Go watch The Prestige and report back to us how you feel about it. Old Batman and Wolverine in it. For all you, you regular yokels out there. Okay. Well, goodbye. Thanks for listening. Check out the Reddit, the website, the Patreon. Thanks to all the people who do the Patreon. We love you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.